Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the free webinar, Greener Homes Loan Update and Partnership Perks with Energuy. Just a few quick items before we get going today. So during the webinar, all attendees will be muted for best audio quality. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to type in your questions. They will be monitored and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and shared with all of you within 1 week of today's session. And it is my pleasure to introduce our Energuy presenters, Chris Niasen, Patrick McMahon, and Oz Strouk. Chris is the founder and president of Energuy Canada and graduated from McMaster University in Hamilton in the 90s. He started Energuy in 2003, completing 1,500 home energy evaluations himself. Energuy is now a market leader known for providing fast, accurate, and reliable assessments across BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. They also support high-performance HVAC partners in California and have plans for further U.S. expansion. Based in Brantford, Ontario, Energuy is on track to complete 1 million home services this year. Patrick McMahon is Energuy's General Manager for Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. He has completed over 4,500 EnerGuide evaluations and has experience in energy efficiency program design and management for clients including the province of Alberta and city of Edmonton. Patrick studied economics at Wilfrid Laurier University and completed postgraduate study in energy management and entrepreneurship at Toronto Metropolitan University. He has been Calgary-based since 2016. Oz Strouk is Energuy's Operations and Business Development Manager for BC with 35 years of experience in business and sales across various fields, including hospitality, electronics, security, and energy efficiency. As an energy advisor, he's completed over 1,500 EnerGuide evaluations. Oz studied business at the University of Alberta and honed his skills through hands-on experience. Oz moved from his hometown of Edmonton to Vancouver Island nearly 2 years ago to develop the Energuy opportunity here in BC. I'm also pleased to introduce our presenter from Charge Solar, Brian Douglas, our VP of Sales. He has extensive experience in the renewable energy sector spanning 2 decades and sits on the board of the BC Sustainable Energy Association. Without further ado, I will pass it over to Patrick to get us started. Thanks for joining, Patrick.
Thanks for the warm introduction, Tatum, and for all those that have taken the time out of their busy days today to join us to review really the incentive opportunity landscape across the country. So we're going to do that by province and region. We're going to spend a fair bit of time on the Greener Homes loan, the budget, data, runway analysis, and how to make the most of the current federal opportunity. I will talk a little bit about how you can own the end-to-end customer experience and how Energuy can help you with that. And then we'll facilitate some questions and attempts at answers to finish things off today. I'd like to hand things over to Energuy's president, Chris Niasen, just to introduce Energuy and the team here, and then we'll get into the agenda. Chris.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Tatum, for that nice introduction. Appreciate that. And thank you, Brian, for having us on this today. And I don't want to spend too much time on this slide. I really wanted to just set the stage for a little bit about what Energuy is. We have been in this space since 2003. And for those of you that have been around and seen some programs come and go, there's been a few. You know, right now we have this loan program, which Patrick's going to go into depth on, and it's fantastic. It is. For those that understand it, it's really helping to close more sales. And I think that's at the end of the day, what we're all about is just trying to help you close more sales. And we're able to do it efficiently and we're able to do it fast. Our headquarters are in Brantford, Ontario, which, as you may or may not know, is the home of Wayne Gretzky. So for hockey fans that are on. We have grown to be fairly large. We are in all provinces, Ontario and West. And then down in the US, we're throughout California, but there's actually a lot of Biden bucks that have been announced. And so we are currently ramping up and going to be in a number of states before the end of the year to take advantage of some of those different programming's announcements down south. In Canada, we do about 1 in 10 of all evaluations that take place. And we're excited about that. We're happy about that. We did not set out to become the largest. It just happened that when you give great service and you give a great price and you tell, you don't overpromise, you try to overdeliver, and you set real expectations with folks and create real relationships, that you're able to grow to such a state that, wow, somehow we're doing 1 in 10, which is amazing. We do really think about our customers, and we want to make sure that at the end of the day that they're happy with the service we provided. And so in terms of Google reviews, we've got, I don't know, if it's 13 or 1400 reviews, and we're a 4.6, and we look at it every single day. How do we, make sure that we are meeting the expectations of not only you who puts us in the home, but of our end use clients, to make sure that, even just the smallest detail, we're able to find out, okay, well, what happened there? Why did they give us a 4? How can we get it to be a 5? So I don't want to take up too much time today. We do have a business development team at Energuy. You're going to get to meet Oz. You're going to get to meet Patrick. Lindsay is unfortunately off today with an illness. I'm standing in for her for the Ontario market for business development. Thank you very much for giving me a couple minutes today.
Thank you, Chris. So into the heart of what we're going to cover today, we're going to start with this national incentive landscape, and to go east to west, we'll start in the Maritimes. And Brian, if you could run through that content.
Absolutely. So Nova Scotia has quite a few incentives. You'll notice they're later in the presentation, they're going to be talking about federal and how that is all in place. But as for the provinces, Nova Scotia has the solar homes program, of which there's a residential rebate of up to 30 cents a watt per installed DC capacity, up to a $3,000 incentive back. So this allowed for, when the federal incentive dropped, to have a kind of a soft landing into Nova Scotia, where people are still installing and getting an incentive through this program. There's a home battery pilot that's going on as well, limited time incentive for eligible solar customers to put a BESS, or battery energy storage system, in when paired with a solar system installed by their registered installers or their installer network. There's an incentive for solar going in Nova Scotia. Limited time incentive for up to 25 kilowatt for nonprofits or charities. Then there's a term you'll hear, PACE, or property assessed, clean energy programs. So these offer low interest financing to cover installation of solar, basically backed against the value of the property of which they're being installed in. They have clean energy financing in a bunch of the different jurisdictions and towns. And then a thing called PACE Atlantic, again, property assessed clean energy program in different jurisdictions. So if you need help navigating those particular townships, reach out to your Charge Solar Eastern representative, and they can try to help you. Moving on to New Brunswick, they have a program as well. It's a $3,000 incentive, ranging from 1 to 15 kilowatt of installed capacity, and it's through their New Brunswick Power program. But it's called the Total Home Energy Savings Program. So maximum $3,000 incentive. PEI has a very lucrative incentive. It is $1,000 per kilowatt or $1 per watt DC installed, up to 40% of the cost, with a maximum rebate of $10,000 on residential. For business, very similar, but a lower, 35 cents per watt, covering up to 40%, and $10,000. And then the farm buildings, they have up to a $35,000 incentive for bona fide farmers in their region. They're implementing their own switch property assessed programs. This is for fixed rate for homeowners with solar and other efficiency upgrades. Basically, it's you know, a 10-year term of $40,000, 25% property financing, and a 5% fee. Participating municipalities are Charlottetown and Stratford. So PEI has a lot of lucrative incentives as well. And then finally, Newfoundland and Labrador green technology tax credit, 20% green tech tax credit for private corporations. So that's a tax credit system, much like you see in the US, and the new federal one for Canada. But the equipment has to be used and located for the business in the province, and it's based off of you know, the eligible property capital cost, maximum $1 million annually, you know, credit, 40% of which is refundable, and unused credits can be carried, but they can't be applied to a tax year that ends before April 7th, 2022. And that is the Maritimes. This is a region of which Energuy is not active in, correct?
That is correct, Brian. Thank you for that recap. And just maybe before you jump off mute, or would those ones, the provincial residential programs, they're stackable with Greener Homes Loan? Is that correct?
There are some that are stackable and some that are not stackable in different regions. So you gotta watch yourself on some of those.
Fair enough, and obviously reach out to your Charge Solar rep to make sure you're best equipped with the right information. There are a number of provinces that do not currently have solar or BESS incentives. So Saskatchewan, you get a full credit for surplus energy, and Saskatoon Light and Power, but not on the Sask Power grid. Ontario has recently launched a new energy efficiency program from Enbridge, but Enbridge's mandate is on natural gas savings, and there is not a solar or storage consideration in the new program. Similar in Alberta, no residential storage or solar incentives in the province, but we do have some municipal programs under this SEEP, which is very similar to PACE in a variety of municipalities that is quote unquote available. You'll find that Edmonton and Calgary are fully subscribed almost all of the time. But there is some flexibility in the outlying communities outside of Calgary and Edmonton. Our next slide is the first one on the prairies here that does have some incentives. So Efficiency Manitoba is offering $500 per kilowatt DC capacity. You'll need to be a registered supplier, which I'm sure you already know, homeowner-led application, and it is stackable. If you have questions about taking advantage of that or leveraging it with Greener Homes Loan, I would be your contact from Energuy on that one. Next slide here is going to be BC. So if you're ready to just talk about this new program.
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, everybody, for your time today. Pretty exciting time in BC right now with the BC Hydro program, up to $10,000 between panels and storage, also stackable with the Greener Homes Loan. So in theory, your customers have potential of up to $50,000 that they only have to pay back $40,000. Really exciting. Anything solar in BC, I'm your guy. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, Oz. The big program that we'll want to talk about today is the Greener Homes Initiative, and specifically the Greener Homes Loan. Greener Homes Initiative launched May 2021. It started with the grant program, which we know is closed. It closed February 12th, 2024. It was funded with $2.6 billion with that intended run of 2021 to 2027. You still may encounter homeowners that have AP numbers as you're quoting solar arrays. An important question to be asking those homeowners is if their AP number is active. And to demonstrate that, they should be able to log into their Greener Homes portal and show that active status. Natural Resources Canada has made an effort to close AP numbers to just get a little bit more certainty about what that budget obligation is. But active AP numbers are out there. And for homeowners that have an active AP number, they can capture the full suite of program benefits. The loan is really the going forward opportunity. It is currently open. $4.4 billion was that budget from 2022 to 2027. It's become especially popular with solar. It's also popular for windows, and the popularity with HVAC and insulation has really deteriorated. HVAC contractors want to be able to sell and install on a very short timeline, and insulation projects typically don't meet the minimum loan amount. But for solar and windows that have a little bit of a long lead time and pretty significant capital cost, it's proving to be a very powerful closing tool. In budget 2024, the federal government introduced the Greener Homes Affordability Program, which is a low to medium income program with full subsidization of energy projects. They're forecasting to spend $900 million between 2025 and 2030, looking for provincial alignment and partnership. And there is probably a question if solar will be included, which unfortunately is seen as almost a luxury item, whereas it's one of the most obvious ways to reduce energy bills from an affordability perspective when looking at residential structures. You may have heard in the news the Green Building Strategy was released last month or late June. Its projection and any coverage it had on the built environment for residential structures really actually made mostly a nod to the Greener Homes Initiative and the grant specifically, which was closed. So it does not provide any indication that we can plan around at this point for future large-scale programming in the built environment in the residential sector. We often hear from our partners questions about when the grant will be coming back, what the next phase looks like. And our talking point and our recommendation really is that Budget 2024 showed how the Government of Canada expects to spend their money this year and did not top up funds for Greener Homes grant. And we should plan around the shot that we know because there is no indication whatsoever that that will change in the near term. The government can make kind of spending commitment to the fall economic statement and then the budget in the spring. But as far as we know, there's nothing else coming through the year in this Greener Homes initiative that can impact our businesses. That's your business and our business. I'm sure you all are familiar at this point, but with the Greener Homes loan, the flyer on the left is something that Energuy provides in PDF or also in tear-off pads if you're closing solar deals at the kitchen table. It's a great way to distance yourself from the specifics of the Greener Homes loan and make a smooth handoff to Energuy if it's a service provider that can serve your customers. The Greener Homes loan need to be within $5,000 to $40,000, a minimum and a maximum value, 0% interest on 10-year amortization. So the loan amount divided by 120 is the monthly payment. It has the same eligibility as the grant. So that's owner-occupied primary residences, single-family homes, detached, semi-detached, row homes, and multi-unit residential buildings less than 4 stories above grade or 3 or fewer stories above grade. In this program, the work cannot start until the homeowner has applied for the loan. You'll see on the website that they're asking for approval, and that's just to mitigate the creditworthiness risk and product selection risk. But if homeowners are prepared to absorb that risk, they can install after application and before approval. And we have some scripts that can help homeowners navigate that if your sale and install cadence is faster than Greener Homes loan might be. It is one application per homeowner, and we understand that if in a previous house, maybe a husband and wife applied for the loan and maybe the wife was the applicant in the first house, if they move to a second house, the husband could apply for the loan as long as that person wasn't the co-signer on the first application. It is really tied to the social insurance number and your relationship with CMHC. We also know that in Greener Homes loan, there is no grant for EnerGuide services. So the cost to enter and exit the program is effectively an administrative cost of participating in Greener Homes loan. One of the things that I think, underestimated when we were in an environment with the grant and the loan was how powerful the loan was. So just as a kind of example here, if you had a $20,000 solar array with $800 in EnerGuide fees and you're dealing with a customer that was buying with debt, if they put that in their home equity loan, at 7% interest over 10 years, they pay an extra $7,100 almost in interest by putting that through the conventional debt facility versus by using the 0% Greener Homes loan. More powerful, though, is for customers that may be buying with cash and they would be taking that savings out of the market and putting it into the solar array. If they would use 0% money instead of removing that $20,000 from a GIC, the GIC alone with monthly compounding would earn almost $11,000 over the course of that 10-year term. This becomes more powerful on higher ticket packages and also more powerful on higher interest rates or rates of return. To help tell that story for our partners, Energuy's created a kind of little handy calculator. Just gonna open it real quick here. So this lets you input the value of a solar array you might be selling. The customer, I'm just gonna take the interest rate off. If the homeowner has, 8.4% interest on a home equity line and might pay for something over 7 years, this will show that nearly $10,000 in interest savings. If they put that money into something like a corporate bond fund with 8% rate of return compounding monthly, that's $39,000 of opportunity cost by not using Greener Homes Loan and using savings. So you may deal with customers that think it's not worth it to participate in Greener Homes Loan if they have a strong cash position. But the value of 0% money is actually really quite powerful, whether it's to pay off higher interest debt or to keep money working in the market. So if you'd like a version of that tool for your team, just reach out to your Energuy account manager and we'll be able to version that up and give that tool for you to poke around with and just try to help to tell that story. And those values all do include that EnerGuide cost, that $800 that I mentioned in the last slide. For the Greener Homes Loan process, if you're navigating or supporting customers taking advantage of Greener Homes Loan, we would suggest the most important critical first step is to go out and make that great sale. The second would be to coordinate an EnerGuide evaluation, whether that's homeowner-led or if you can support them in that process. The reports will need to be generated from the EnerGuide evaluation and uploaded to Enercan by that provider that did the energy evaluation. And Enercan's requirements for submission on that is now moved to 45 days. After the reports have been uploaded, the homeowner can apply for the loan, and then you can install after they've applied, or you may wait until they've received their approval. Approvals are speeding up, we understand. It's not a consistent approval pace, but it's definitely faster than it was even last year. In the Greener Homes Loan, we're no longer waiting for an AP number. We're not waiting on Natural Resources Canada to confirm status under eligibility confirmed. So when you're working with Energuy, we're really in control between you and Energuy now to move the pace along at a timeline that makes sense for these critical stakeholders, your customers, Energuy, and yourself. A little bit on the budget. So the Greener Homes Loan was initially funded in 2022, as I mentioned, with $4.4 billion. The last update we have on the program from Natural Resources Canada was February 2024. And based on the number of approved applicants and the average loan amount, we can kind of deduce that about $1.3 billion had been distributed toward the start of this year. Coming into 2024, that puts the remaining budget around $3.1 billion. And if 100% of EnerGuide participants today were using Greener Homes Loan, it works out to a redemption rate of $250 million a month, which would be 12.3 months from January 2024, if 100% of EnerGuide participants are participating in the Greener Homes Loan. This is the ugliest slide on the deck, so I'm going to apologize in advance. Things that I'd like to showcase here is that nationally, EnerGuide activity is down 50% year on year if we compare April to July of 2023 to April to July of 2024, based on data that Natural Resources Canada makes available on the EnerGuide rating system. We see demand in Ontario has dropped by 88% over that period, while demand in Alberta is down 14%. We've seen HVAC and insulation partners effectively leave the program, while window and a pretty substantial growth in solar activity is buoying that activity relative to the 50% national reduction. Couple critical factors that could shorten the runway, and one that could potentially lengthen the runway, or certainly would lengthen the runway. To shorten the runway, we want to think about when CMHC learns about a homeowner's intention to participate in Greener Homes Loan. So you might make a sale, coordinate an energy evaluation. That's going to get scheduled for some period of time in the future. The energy advisor is going to show up and do their work. They're going to generate the reports. Those reports need to be quality assured and uploaded. And then that provides an opportunity for the homeowner to log in and apply for the loan. And only at that point does CMHC know about that homeowner's intention to participate. So there's a large time lag from when a sale may be originated to when CMHC might learn about that participant's intention to use Greener Homes loan. So that is something that they'll have to plan around if they're considering or feel that the budget might be in jeopardy. On the flip side, we can see that EnerGuide activity in Quebec and the Maritimes has maintained, and the share has gone from 46% to 67%. So in both of those jurisdictions or regions, there are other programs that required an EnerGuide evaluation to participate in provincial rebate programs that aren't necessarily tied to Greener Homes loan. So we should assume that activity there is not as positively correlated to Greener Homes loan participation as it would be in Alberta for sure, British Columbia, and to some extent in Ontario. Start to see that change in Ontario because of the Enbridge program that's launched recently. So that's how I've got through the ugly slide, but there's room for optimism and room for concern. And I think it's reasonable to be selling against a Greener Homes loan as a limited time offer. We do hear that homeowners feel as though they've missed out on the grant and the loan, but they really are standing at risk of missing out on the loan, which is a very powerful incentive, especially when you're purchasing a cash flowing asset like a solar array. Just a little bit of handoff here into Energuy and how we can be a partner for you to take more control of the end-to-end experience. So Energuy has a large network benefit. We're already going where you need us to go based on our relationships with a variety of partners. We provide third-party unbiased energy evaluations, and it's very easy for contractors to refer Energuy because we don't put sales in jeopardy, and we provide an exceptional customer experience for homeowners. By aligning with the market share leader, it protects your market share leadership. And we really work as a B2B company. We're looking to establish relationships with referral contractors, and we really value our loyal, collaborative, and volume partners. Our 3 C's are our capacity to the most advisors and greatest market share. We're consistent on the phone and in the home, and we have great coverage between major and medium markets between Ottawa and Victoria. We have a specific solar advantage as well, and we can kind of see that demonstrated by the ASO microgeneration report. Based on their data for 2023 residential microgen systems, it appears as though Energuy touched nearly 50% of all residential microgen systems in Alberta in 2023. And we were the first Energuy partner to join Solar Alberta and remain our membership as a large partner of Solar Alberta. Our superpower is really our speed. So some things you can expect from Energuy is 1 hour for outbound calls to homeowners when submitted via our app. Report uploads within 5 days of the first evaluation, and report uploads on the second evaluation to align with any bridge financing or deferral financing programs that you might be offering to homeowners. We really want to avoid your customer that you installed a couple months ago calling you back for details on their sale while you're focused on your next round of sales. We also don't request follow-up documents or design requests. Again, we want you to be focused on your next sale. As long as a single line diagram or schematic is down at the main panel, we can get all the information about the technical components of the array and then sort out roof slope and azimuth based on similar tools that you might use. We'll also book post-retrofit evaluations when your work is completed. We don't necessarily need to wait for electrical inspections or energization of the array from our requirements in HOT 2000. As long as the components are in place and the documentation's there, we have what we need to get our work done. We also have a lot of partnership perks, including pricing advantages. So your customers will save at least $100 off retail price. There are additional pricing opportunities depending on the market that you might be in. So follow up with your energy advisor for those. We have that collateral. I mentioned the flyer that's available in PDF or tear-off sheets if you wanted to validate the loan program and support a handoff to Energuy. And our app. So this is the Energuy app, which is available on the web. Our solar partners really like it on the web because they can copy and paste information from their CRM into the app. It's also available from the app stores if you want to input that if you're closing sales at the kitchen table. But here, when you submit a customer to us, email, name, address, phone number, and notes. Notes is important stuff. What do you want us to know about the customer that they might not tell us? Customer is not sold, wife's the decision maker, dog's name's Roxy, prefers weekend appointments, those kinds of things, whatever we can do to help you ensure that your customer has an exceptional customer experience. That's how I'd like you to think about notes. I'll confirm that we have permission to contact them, that they have to have an energy evaluation before you install your projects. If you'd like us not to ask questions about any grant programs, just make sure that we know that they're Greener Homes Loan participants only. And then you hit the submit button at the bottom of the page, and then we're going to give them a call within an hour, business hour. What's also nice is then you can see your customers as they're going through. These are all just test accounts. This is our dev environment, Bert and Ernie there. But these are all booked for days in the future. We can see some that are still waiting to be booked, and we can see evaluations that are completed. So you have some visibility into your customer's process through the EnerGuide process. And we've recently added, just last week actually, the opportunity for you to go into a homeowner's file, and you can now report the installation complete. We do ask you to wait until it is complete. In our 20-year experience, we know that a lot of times intended installation dates don't end up being actual installation dates. And if you'd like to send us some notes there, then we can try to make a proactive attempt to book the second evaluation to keep that homeowner moving through the grant program, or the loan program in this case. When you do that, you'll see in the app the date that you let us know that the installation was completed for us to work to call that customer back. We also have dedicated service people, so you have a one-to-one rep with Energuy and service commitments that we can offer you based on your region and where you're serving. And that is kind of what we wanted to cover today on the national incentive landscape, some specifics on the Greener Homes loan, and a little information about how Energuy can help you take control of the sales process and walk your customers through the Greener Homes loan program with white gloves on. Your questions do validate our existence, so we really do nothing until you ask us questions. So please don't hesitate to call or text your local Energuy account manager. We'd be happy to just get introduced. It's a good phone number to have in your pocket for when that question comes up, instead of having to try to find it, whether that's at the kitchen table where the question comes up, or whatever, through any process that you are going through that might touch Greener Homes loan or the Greener Homes initiative. So please do not hesitate to reach out. Your questions literally validate our existence. So that's what we had to share. I don't know, Tatum, if you've got collected any questions in the chat that we can start tackling, or Chris or Oz have anything, or Brian have anything else they'd like to add. But
Hi, sorry, there's something going on out my window there.
oh boy.
There's some window cleaners happening. My dog's going a little crazy too, but I don't have any questions in the Q&A. If anybody else would like to pop anything in there, we'll give it a couple moments.
Folks, we created a really cool design, a really cool app, I should say, to help you send us your clients seamlessly. All the data's there. It really eliminates you trying to remember, or your staff trying to remember, did I send over the Smith file yet? Or I'm pretty sure I sent it over. I wonder where that file is. If it's all on one place, it gives you great visibility into that client. Patrick, you made me laugh. Things that you could put in the comments section. Dog's name is Roxy. That's funny. But yeah, the app is great. I would say most of the work that we do on a daily basis comes to us via our app, which helps keep everybody organized.
And I'd also say it's kind of one less thing for your customer to have to do. So instead of making this a remember to call XYZ company, you can, say, hey, would you like me to have Energuy give you a call? We like working with them. You save $100 because you're working with XY with us. And then we follow up on a reasonable cadence to be persistent without pestering, because that's we want to get that booked, and you want to get that booked, and we work to track the customer down and find a time that's convenient for them to have us by. With that large team, we do have a lot of schedule flexibility to work with homeowners based on schedules that make sense for them.
Yeah, and you didn't actually click on it, but there's a button on there that says marketing materials. And so if you've forgotten your your loan handouts or whatever, it's on there, and you can have a PDF of it, and you can email it from there to show your homeowner how the loan works, etc. Also, Patrick was mentioning about the financial calculator, and that's been pretty helpful. as well to show, the power of money, right? Like $40,000, 0% loan is really helping to close more jobs. And that's the idea. That calculator just gives you some different ways to present that information.
All right, it looks like we have a couple questions come through. So the first one's from Andre, and it says, can you explain the 45-day delay for the loan?
So the 45-day delay isn't necessarily a delay for the loan, but Natural Resources Canada provides like service level expectations to service organizations, so companies like Energuy, and they would say that a service organization has up to 45 days to submit the paperwork from a pre-retrofit evaluation. So if you're working with a company that's a bit overwhelmed by the volume of work or whatever the case may be, they may say, hey, I'm still compliant with my NRCan obligations, which would be true, but it doesn't help you move that customer along. So Energuy's commitment is to upload within 5 days of the energy evaluation, while the NRCan standard is up to 45 days. So it's then once we upload, the homeowner has an obligation to submit your quote into the Greener Homes loan application. It requires their action. So make sure you're setting that expectation. We certainly do, and we email every customer when those reports are uploaded so they can take immediate action. But yeah, they have to take action. And then depending on the Greener Homes loan folks, the approval can come within a few days or a couple weeks, and there may be some back and forth to clarify the scope of work that's being applied for. I hope that clarifies the question. That's not a standard thing. It's just that is the limit that service organizations would have to upload reports after the energy evaluation.
Great, thank you. We have another question from Ian. Any interest in helping on the commercial side with ITC applications? I know a lot of installers that are unsure on how they're going to handle those.
Yeah, I think that landscape, and I've intended a couple of the webinars on that, is the administrative side is a big question mark with a lot of, it could be pretty challenging to put the toothpaste back in the tube. Can't speak, maybe Chris should say something, but I'd imagine we'd evaluate the opportunity and see what can be done to create processes that could be complementary. But it's still a little bit of a new territory about where the gaps are that we might be able to come in and support. But yeah, it is a pretty administratively heavy process, it seems, and tracking labor hours and things like that to make that ITC work for the customers, commercial customers. I don't know, Chris, if you've spent any time on the clean energy ITC yet, but
I think you gave a pretty good answer there. Yeah, input tax credits are obviously we want as many as we can get as businesses, but it's a government tax return, so lots of fun. Good answer, I think you gave, Patrick.
All right. Well, I don't have any more questions in the Q&A. So I know you guys had given your email addresses there. So if there's any other questions, you can reach out to Oz, Patrick, or Chris. And thank you guys for joining us today and giving a very insightful presentation.
thanks so much for the opportunity. We hope it helped clarify some questions and give some direction going forward and make the most of the balance of the summer here.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you very much for everybody's time.
Thanks so much.
Reach out anytime.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.